Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Full Quarter Podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. This is your number one South African cricket podcast. We talk all things South African cricket. Firstly, let me say to you, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I hope you all had a lovely day. And in cricketing world, we have Boxing Day, which means that test matches begin. And so obviously the Proteas were out in Australia for the start of the second test, day one of the second test, which is slightly disappointing. But we'll talk about that. Outside of that, I don't come alone. I've got Tim here, my co-host. Tim, Merry Christmas. How are you doing?
All right, thanks. A little sleep deprived after the early start of the test match, but
Yeah.
otherwise all
Oh,
good.
that early start. That early start. Why is it 1:30? Because the other test match started like 2. Yeah. But anyway.
Different,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, time zones in Australia.
yeah.
Okay. Quick thoughts around day one. I was disappointed with the batting, but it's same old, same old. We're doing the same things, thinking that something will change, but it's not. And another batting collapse. Luckily today, Marco Jansen finally scoring that 50, and Carl Verena coming through as well. Yeah, really disappointed there in our batting lineup, but we've known this for a year. Tim, what did you make of that?
Uh, Carl said it at the press conference. He said it after the day's play. He said, what we had to do is get in, face your first
Mm.
10 overs, get yourself in, get used to the pitch, and you can make runs. And that's what I did. And that's exactly what he did. Whereas
And
majority of them forced the issue. Saul Ervia forced the issue. Tennis de Bruin forced the issue. Um,
Dean did as well,
Dean
surprisingly.
forced the issue with a single 5 minutes from lunch when the single wasn't needed.
Mm.
Wasn't needed. It's forcing the
Yeah.
issue when it wasn't needing to be forced. But it's the same mistakes. Same mistakes we've seen for
Yeah. We,
a
we, we
while
need a
now.
bit of a revamp of that batting lineup, and possibly even the the top 6, and to see who's coming in, who's coming out. Zubair Hamza is now obviously available. We're going to talk about that when it comes to One Day Cup final. And like, he went on a ban. Nothing's changed. There's just still more opportunities in that batting lineup. And so, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. Hopefully they bounce back. Hopefully the bowlers can get like a quick fifer or quick 5 wickets in a clump, similar to what Cameron Green did, just to reel it back, because we're playing 5 bowlers, so they should be able to help you in times like this. So hopefully it's not a short test match like the last one.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Just get something out of the series, because 4 Test Championship points are still on the line. Even
Yeah.
though we're playing as badly as we are,
That
they
West
are still
Indies
on the
series
line.
is 4 points too. So, like, if we win that, surely we're in.
I think if we win one of these Test matches and win West Indies 2-0, we're in. Despite
Okay.
what India is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stand to be corrected, but that's the way I understand it.
That's how I thought. We need to whitewash the West Indies at home, but the way we're batting doesn't seem like we will. And it's also in like early IPL period, so we might find ourselves in a little bit of a pickle again. But we'll talk about that next year. Because this week we've got cricket in South Africa. We've got the One Day Cup, and it's finals week, and so we're just going to preview that, talk about that. We're going to talk about Division 2, that final, and then we're going to talk about Division 1 and how that is shaping up, and all the relegation and promotion things that everyone's been asking about. We've kind of solidified that. So let's start with Division 2, Tim. There was one match of significance, which was Border against Southwestern District, also known as the Garden Route Badgers. 6-gun Grill Garden Route Badgers. That's their full name. They're also the Linyati, the Eastern Cape Linyati. The the Badgers needed to win with a bonus point, so they need to get this target of 151 in 40 overs. They got it with one ball to spare, and they won by 1 wicket, Tim. So that kind of makes it quite interesting. But how did you see that game? I see Bashir Walters took 4 for 26, and there were some contributions all around from who was it? For the ball for Linyati was Joshua van Heerden. He scored 459, and then for the Badgers it was Mark Adrianatos 59. There, Matthew Christensen 31, and obviously Bashir Walters scoring 15 in the end to get them home. But what did you see in this game?
It was the end. It was the chase. That was where it went down to. When you had the Southwestern Districts, 6-kind goal, Badgers, whatever you want to call them, they were 100 for 2. They were 100 for 2, cruising to victory. The game was theirs. They were in the final, and then Thomas Caber came on and changed things.
He's been great.
I think he'll be playing Division 1 next year.
He should be playing Division 1 this year.
He should have been. But I think they're gonna realize the error of their ways, even if it's a year too late. So they got there, and they were 130 for 9, and they were in all sorts of trouble, and they scraped by. They scraped over with one ball to spare. You say one ball because if there was another ball was bowled, they would have been knocked out, and Eastern Cape and Yati would have gone through to the final because of the bonus point. So the game had everything. Low scores often do, which is why I like low scores. It could have gone either way. But the experience of Southwestern Districts got through the line. I will say one last thing on SWT. They had 4 first-team players out of this fixture. So they got there without 4 first-team players. One of them was getting married. Currently on honeymoon as we speak.
Okay, so he's missing out on the final. The final is KZN Inland against the Garden Route Badgers, also known as Southwestern Districts, in Pietermaritzburg. So if you're around the area, if you're in Durban on holiday and want to watch cricket, please do go down and support domestic cricket. Is it a shoo-in for KZN Inland? They won 5. They lost 1 game. They were very good in this one-day cup this year.
It's not a show-in, but if you want to make a bet, you want to go to Betway and you want to put a 50 rand on just for a bit of fun, I would be putting my money on the on KZN Inland. They are favourites for me.
Yeah,
they've just got the experience. They are the champions. They know how to win. They know how to get the team over the line. If you look at the performances, no outstanding performances, but just consistent. Just everybody chipping in, which is a huge credit to the team. That everybody is
they don't have a player who scored more than 200 runs. And they've got guys with 180, 140. Got like everyone in the Air Langston around like 180 runs. Mohakane is 144. There's another one, Tian Kukenmood. He's on 189, the leading run scorer. But it's the bowling, Stefan Tate taking 10 wickets. You've also got Keith Dudgeon in there. He's taken 8 wickets. You've also got Malcolm Norfolk, 9 wickets. Carl Nipper, 9 wickets. So this is a team that whose bowling attack is the one that's been leading them to victory, which is good. And I think to a certain extent, that is where you kind of make your money in domestic cricket, is if you have a bowling attack that's good enough, they can help you win a lot of games, even though your batters aren't that great. And so that's essentially what it is. But let's look at the promotion table just to see what it looks like at the end. So the one caveat I want to say with this table is that obviously the one-day cup from position 3 to 7, that's solidified. So the Linyati will come out with 7 points. Northern Cape Heat comes out with 5. So looking at this, your points based on your promotion are based on where you finish in each of the tournaments. So if you finish first, you get 15. Second, you get 10 points. Third, you get 7. Fourth, you get 5. Fifth, you get 3 points. Sixth is 1, and seventh is 0. So the only one that's outstanding in the one day cup column is that final. So if the Tuskers lose that final, they will get 10 points, and Southwestern Districts gets 15, which means in total, Tuskers will go down to 39, SWD goes to 35, and then it just makes the promotion in total, because then you'll have the 4-day cup left, 4-day series left. So essentially, what it looks like right now, based on what it currently is, the table for 1-day cup and the current table for the 4-day series, the Northern Cape Heat get promoted by 1 point. That's how close it is. If, and big if the Tuskers finish second in the 1-day cup, and then the 4-day series, right? They're currently sitting in third. They've got 7 points. If they get 10 points, they get promoted. That is how tight it is. And that is why Northern Cape Heat, not necessarily having a great tournament in the 1-day cup, has now opened the door for the Tuskers to come in and take it all away. And we've got about 4 matches left in the 4-day series in February, and it's going to go down to the wire. And what the Heat need is for the Tuskers to stay where they are. So they're going to need help from everyone else and to make it through. But Tim, when you look at this table, what do you think?
You and I had a chat with Mark Charlton, the Northern Cape coach, a few weeks ago. No, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we jokingly said to him, "You've got it. It's sealed. It's done."
Yeah, it
but
was.
I genuinely, at the time of our discussion, I genuinely thought that was true. I genuinely thought, yeah, the Tuskers are a good side, but they're going to be just short. Northern Cape Heat are just too strong. But you look at that 1-day cup, you look at that 5 points. That is essentially why Tuskers have got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
From nowhere, the Tuskers have got an incredible chance of being promoted, and that's because of the Northern Cape Heat's poor performance in this competition. So it is all to play for. It's literally all to play for with one competition left. It could not be tighter. It just could not be tighter.
Yeah, but obviously, let's say this. So if the Southwestern Districts win, which is what Northern Cape would want, then the Tuskers need to finish above the Heat. And they need to finish above the Heat by they need to have the Heat essentially flip the switch. So they need to finish first, and the Heat need to finish second in order for them to get promoted. So it's massive. This game on Wednesday is so important from a promotion perspective, because right now the Tuskers will just need to move up 1 spot. If they lose, they need to surpass the Heat in order for them to go through.
Yeah, it's as you say, it's so important. Every game for the rest of the season is vital for both sides. Every game that they play now matters. Not every game you play throughout the season counts for something. Not every game you play matters. You want to win every game, of course you do. But literally every game that's left in the season for both these sides matters. It's going to count to the chances to promotion. As I said before, it is on a knife edge. It is literally on a knife edge. You might not watch a lot of Division 2 cricket, but I would suggest that you do. You watch the final.
It's on YouTube, on CSA
and
page.
And you're watching it on February, not just because of the closeness of it, but because you're going to see some of these players playing in Division 1, regardless of who gets promoted or not. You are going to see. We saw Evan Jones. We saw Bamanda Tete. They're now playing in Division 1. You will see that again from the Division 2 sides, players that are coming through. So if you want to see them before they get to Division 1, I would suggest you watch on Wednesday.
Yeah. And these two teams have played each other already. So essentially, what's left, I want to give you a taste. The Inland still have to play the Linyati. They'll play them first. Then they'll play Limpopo, and they'll play Southwestern District. So that's, so they've got three more games. They've got SWD, they've got Limpopo, and they've also got Border, which is the Linyati. Whereas Northern Cape Heat have Easterns, which is the second team on the log. They've got Southwestern Districts, and also that would be it. It's just Easterns and Southwestern Districts. They don't have that many games left. Some very tough games. Very tough games.
It plays into the Tuskers' hands. Tuskers have got the extra game. So they know exactly where they're going to be in that final fixture, what they need to do, whether they need to get a sort of declaration of what they need to do, whether they need to win, draw, or whatever.
Because in that final round, Northern Cape don't play, so they sit and watch like everyone else on YouTube. Okay, let's move to Division 1. We had some fixtures happening in Division 1. Northwest played Boland on Wednesday. They won by 7 wickets. The Warriors played the Lions. That game, Jordan Hanneman scored 150. And I think Reza Hendricks and Via Mulder scored hundreds, but it wasn't enough to help the Lions get through. But they lost their first game. And then on Friday, we saw 3 matches happen. The Titans and the Knights in Bloem did not happen. It happened without a ball being bowled. That has ramifications for the table. So that was really important, because I think it effectively kind of relegated the Knights, but we'll talk about that. But the Dolphins played the Lions, low scoring game in Durban, 170 all out. And Sistana Magala took a clump of wickets, Tim, in that game. Just having a check here. Magala took 3 for 46. Vian Mulder 3 for 19. He was at one stage, I think, 3 for 2. And then Joshua Richards scored 95 not out in that game. But in the earlier game, which is interesting because Western Province found themselves in trouble in that game. Against the Rocks, because they batted first, and it looked like it was going to be low scoring. I didn't think they'd get to 246, but Mihlali Mpongwana coming through with a 96. He's a really young up and coming all-rounder. And then George Linder 3 for 23. Tim, you must have been happy with that one.
Yeah, I was, but I've also got a sort of soft spot for Boland, because Province have always been stealing their players throughout the years. When we,
but didn't they steal Didn't they steal Province's players last year? Everyone went to Boland and then or the Rocks, and then
but I'm talking historically. Historically, that's always happened. So that had a soft spot. Yes, it went the other way when Peter Malan and Iman Manak went over to Boland. But I'm talking, when I was growing up as a young kid. So that it's always had a sort of affinity to Boland. I've always wanted them to do well, if not beat Province. I want them to do well. They must be thinking, how did they lose that game? Honestly.
Yes. And it was a semi-final.
120 for 6, they've got Province. And they've got Mpho Kwana in and George Linder. Province should not have got 200. Province should not have got 200.
I thought they weren't going to get there. And then
they just let it slip. Poland at the moment, they are a fast bowler short from me at the moment, and their death bowling isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
I love bombarding Chicha, but asking him to bowl the death overs for me is
Was a bit too much.
in this format is not the right plan. I love the fact that you give the guy responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
but that needs to go to somebody like Hardus.
Yeah.
And somebody else with a bit more experience. They didn't have Akila Kluti, which was huge.
Mm-hmm.
That was also a big loss. But you have to give it to Province. Province throughout the season have found themselves in that sort of position, and they've refused to give up. And where their batting has failed them last season, it's got them out of trouble this season. We've had runs from Eddie Moore, we've had runs from John O'Bird, we've had runs from George Linder, we've had runs from Upakwana. They're all
Tony.
guys there, so, pitching in. Tony, of course, at the top of the order, being the master. They ticked all the boxes, Province.
Yeah.
They said, you know what, we're the big boys. We haven't had a trophy for far too long now. We want a trophy.
Yeah.
And they've now got a chance. I think with that bowling attack, they've got a genuine chance of beating your lads up north. I still have you slight favourites, but we've got a genuine chance of beating you.
Autumn, genuine chance. Okay. Let's look at the One Day Cup table to close out the season. The Lions having won 6, lost 1 match, and that match they lost wasn't to Western Province. It was to the Warriors. We're finishing with 27 points. The Western Province second with 23 points. The Dragons 17 points. The Rocks 14. Titans on 14. That no result game for the Knights. Had the Knights won, they could have leapfrogged the Titans, and that would have given them another 2 more points in this tournament, and that would have been so crucial towards promotion relegation. They just wanted to play the game, and it just never happened. Then the Warriors and the Dolphins taking the wooden spoon there. The less said about the Dolphins, the better. It's been disappointing. They've had a lot of injuries, but a team with the veterans that they have to finish last in a One Day Cup, when One Day Cup used to be their bread and butter over the past couple of years. So that's something that Imran Khan needs to look at going forward, because I think the Dolphins are treading on a slippery slope, and I think there's some teams that are very lucky. But before we talk about the final, let's just talk about the relegation so we can get that out the way. So at the top, the Titans look like a shoe-in to win, unless if the Lions want to actually pull up their socks and try and win this the 4-day series. So, but you've got Western Province in third currently, having solidified either 10 points or 15, depending on how that's going to look in the final on Thursday. The Rocks sitting in third on 34 points, obviously tentative with the 4-day series. The Warriors sitting on 32 points. Without the 4-day series, the Warriors are on 17 points. That's very worrying. Would be worrying, but I think they've done enough to at least secure about 7 points, so that's going to be okay for them. The Dolphins sitting on 22 points. They get a 0 in the One Day Cup, so they should be worried, but they're not, because the Knights effectively can't catch them. The Knights have to finish in third. You see, the Knights, they have 12 points. So they need 7 points to push the Dragons down, which means they have to finish third in the 4-day series. So they have to win pretty much all their matches in order for them to finish third, in order for them to leapfrog the Dragons, because the Dragons in the 4-day series are coming in last. They came in last year. They're going to come in last this year. They're not a 4-day series side. They're a white ball side. And so the fact that the Knights have let this slip like this is another story for another day, but that's what it looks like. Effectively, it looks like the Knights are relegated. Can they come in third from 7th? We shall wait to see, but it's not impossible. And I think Tim, I think they're effectively relegated though.
it's done for me. I mean, I said what I said about Mark Charlton. We spoke to him, but I just can't see it. I can't see them winning games, even if you take in if everybody hits the ground running and performs well. I can't see that team getting 20 wickets in Bloom. I can't see it on those flat wickets. I can't see them getting 20 wickets to win a fixture in Bloom, and I think they've got 2 home games. One against Borland, if my memory serves me correctly. I just can't see it. I'd love to see it, but it'd be good for the competition if there was some sort of jeopardy in the final stages of the promotion relegation. But I just can't see it. There's no I can't see it.
I think it's really disappointing because then that would mean if the Northern Cape doesn't come up, you'd have 2 teams in the same region in Division 2, and that is what CSA don't want. That's like everyone's worst nightmare. Like that's like bad. But there'll be players that are moving and stuff like that, and they're gonna have to figure it out. I don't want to talk about that in another podcast. So, Tim, final of the One Day Cup. My Lions against your Province. Couple of things have changed. Zubair Hamza's back, right? So does he slot straight in for Province?
Well, he really has slotted in. He played in the last game, which I find a little bit surprising. But I suppose it shouldn't be that surprising because he had been practicing in the nets for 2 months. So, not been playing games, but he's been game ready, effectively, for the last two months.
Does he change it? Because obviously in the last game, Province we played at Newlands, and it was a low-scoring game. The Lions bowlers had Province in 6 and 7s. Sipamla did well. Magala was really good. Does he change that the game much?
No. In my opinion, no. In my opinion, I'd rather just let the guy play. Let's not talk about doing things and winning games and playing for South Africa. Just let the guy score runs.
But it would be nice for Western Province to win a trophy. They haven't won a trophy in like years.
I don't think it's going to come from Hamza. That's my point.
Okay.
The winning of this is not going to come from someone like Hamza.
So who's it coming from? If Western Province are going to win this game, who's your game breaker? Who's your guy?
The winning is coming from George.
George Linder.
George at the back end of the summer has been in phenomenal form. Absolutely phenomenal. He had started slowly. I think he could be a real game changer. He and Nando Berger. I think if those two together could be the real game changers.
On those pitches in the north.
I know people are going to be talking about Tony and stuff. Tony's failed his last 2 games. Everybody fails. Everybody, his purple patch was always going to come to an end. Province to win games is going to come from their bowlers, not from their batters, in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's an Andre and George versus Mitchell van Buren versus Reza versus Ryan versus Dom, because Dom's now finding a spot at number 4. Look, I think for me, and I look at this Lions side, I'm like, we've been to a final before earlier this year. They beat the Titans, who were really good, and they were good for a majority of that tournament in Pretoria. They know how to do finals. The question obviously is Western Province with a bat. Can they match the firepower of this Lions side with the bat? Obviously against a very strong Lions bowling attack. You've also got Vian Mulder, who can bat and bowl. You've got Sisanda. You've got Bjorn, who was the match winner in that final last year. Oh, it's not last year. We're still in 2022 this year. And so I think for me, it's going to be it's up to Western Province to essentially make the play. But if you have the Lions 90 for 4 or 90 for 5, you have a game on our hands. But I do see that it's about I think it's going to be a 300 type wicket at the Wanderers on Thursday. We haven't had rain. We had rain overnight, but we haven't had rain. It's been very dry. We did have rain over the past 2 weeks, so the pitch could be quite. It could have some moisture, but it will be bouncy. It'll be I think it'll be a nice 50 over wicket, being prepared by Evan Flint. So we've got. I think it's going to be an exciting game, and Tony needs to have one more game, one more purple patch. But looking at the One Day Cup numbers, right? Top run scorers Ryan Rickleton, 377 runs at an average of 62. Tristan Stubbs, that was surprising, but he played well. 361 and an average of 60. Aidan Markram, 341 runs at an average of 68. Surprise, surprise. Diego Rosier, 305 at an average of 43. But here's the next two. Lesego Senokwane has scored 2 more runs than Jordan Herman. But everyone's talking so much about Jordan Herman, right? 299 runs, plays 297. Jordan has a higher average with the not out, 49.5, but Lesego's average is 42.71. They pipped out Riza, they pipped out Tony, they pipped out Yanaman, they pipped out Mitch van Buren. I think those two, should be a look into that side, into that that ODI side, especially if you're looking for a black batter. Lesego Senokwane has had a great season.
I've enjoyed him. I must admit, I've enjoyed him, and he's also of the right sort of age. You know, South African supporters going, well, once you reach 30, then you somehow got to retire for some reason. He's 25, so he's still got years in him to mature as a batsman, to hit his prime. But you're right, he has looked good. He has looked good in a side that is predominantly all-rounder obsessed.
And he got his runs at the top.
Yeah, out-and-out batsman, and he's got his, as you said, got his runs at the top. And to outshine those guys that you mentioned, you know, that's good going. You know, that's good going.
Yeah. It's insane. Like, I was looking at that, I'm going, yeah, we should be talking more about Lesego Senokwane. On the other side, the bowlers, Sisana Magala is the top wicket taker at 17 wickets. Akona Mnyaka of the Warriors at 15. George Linda, who's going to be quite key for Western Province in the finals, at 14. Ziad Abrams of the Warriors at 14. Hardestville Yoon, 13 wickets. Tsepo Moreki at 12. Andile Petluka also got 12 wickets with Bears. Swanepoel, Maurice Bojo with 10. It's quite interesting to see that, but it's largely the same old names. It's just an interesting thing with Tsepo Moreki, Akona Mnyaka on the top wicket taker. Just surprising the Warriors finished so low with the amount of guys in the top wicket taking charts. It's just weird, but their batting has just really struggled this season.
I was just going to say, you took the words out of my mouth. Take Jordan Herman's runs out of the equation, they're nowhere. They are they're nowhere in the competition. They're bottom. You know, he's been sensational, but everybody else hasn't really come to the fore. I think somebody like Bowes Swanepoel will come good. I think he will come good. I think at the moment he's more of a bowling rounder. I think he will come good. It has been good to see Diego Rosier. Diego Rosier has been around for years. You know, highly thought of at the 19 level, and he's never really reached his potential. But
he might be too old for the supporters, because everyone thinks 30 is too old.
But
who's your man of the match for? Your man of the match for Thursday. How's it going? What's your prediction? I know who's your man of the match for Western Province.
So it's going to be, because of what you say about the weather and the pitch and the 300 runs, it's going to be Berger. Berger 4 for 35. Just blitzing you guys. Getting Ryan Rickleton out for the first ball. Blitzing you completely. Mpho and Tim.
Tim, okay. Okay. It's obviously the Lions are winning. But for me, this has Vian Mulder written all over it. All over it. Vian's probably going to take 3 wickets and he's going to score like a match-winning 100 in a chase to close it out. And then he's going to drop the mic like Mpho and Tim did last year, because that's what we do. That's what happens in the North and the Highveld. But I wouldn't put it past the Western Province beating them. I'm really actually anxious. But the final, everyone's available to come to the final. Please make your way to the DP World Wanderers Stadium. It is going to be insane. They're going to have artists, they're going to have acts. There's going to be so much happening. Come support your men in yellow. And I know there's some Cape Townians up here. Please go support Western Province, all you Stormers fans. Please come and support. I think this is the highlight of South African cricket summer, the domestic summer, and it's two teams, the North-South derby. It's two teams who've played against each other so many times, and there's so much cricket history here. And I think Western Province will be winning their first title in like 10 years or something. So it's massive. It's really, really massive for them. But Tim, all the best.
We've shared a trophy before that.
Yes.
We did share, but yes.
But sharing is like kissing your sister.
Yeah, exactly. Out and out
Nobody.
trophy. It's been a long time. Let's put it that way. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Outside of that, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook and all the places. Also, we have an audio version that'll be out as well for those who like to listen to the audio version. Thank you very much for all the support, all the lovely comments in the last episode. That episode's still valid, so please do watch the essay and review and let us know what you think. And yeah, till next week, or till when we do a review episode of what the Proteas did in Australia. It's goodbye, good night, and le sale cagajizo.